Bonjour and good morning. Welcome to WASA Distance Education and PLAR English. And this is week 9, the last week of classes in term 1A. So, so we've got a class today, class Wednesday, and then the PLAR English is done for this term. And next term, term 1B, we will be doing the PLAR math. So term 1B, radio Zoom classes begin on Tuesday, November 12th. So actually 2 weeks from today. So not next Monday, but the Monday after, actually the Tuesday after, because the Monday is Remembrance Day and we are closed. So Tuesday, November 12th is when classes for term 2B begin. PLAR students who do not finish up your work this term, you can continue working on the key questions into term 1B and continue submitting them. Okay, you're not withdrawn at the end of the term, so just continue working from wherever you left off. 2 ways to participate in classes. So you can participate on radio or by using Zoom, and the instructions for joining the classes are in your study guide. So check there, talk to your DEC, or you can contact me. All PLAR English students are welcome to attend classes, so it doesn't matter if you signed up for IL or Radio Zoom, you can still attend the Radio Zoom classes or watch the recorded classes. To contact me, you can use email, phone, or send a message on Facebook, whatever works best for you. And students who are working on the PLAR from last year can keep working on the key questions and continue to submit them. The PLAR classes from last year are available on YouTube and are updated as we record new classes. So this is the last week of classes. So after this week, all of the classes for the PLAR English will be the new classes this year. And then next term, the PLAR math will be updated as I do classes. For students' information, we've been talking about this now all term, so everybody should be aware of it. Hopefully everybody is aware of it. This year, we're starting something new with the PLAR. So all PLAR students can write the culminating activity before you do the lessons and the key questions, or I should say instead of doing the lessons and the key questions. So any PLAR student, regardless of if you have started doing some of the work and you've submitted some key questions, or if you're just starting out new, you have the option of trying the culminating activity first. If you pass the culminating activity, then you don't have to do the lessons and key questions, and you can just move on to the next next PLAR subject that you have to do, or the next step. If you're not successful with the culminating activity, then you will have to go through the lessons and complete the key questions. And then once you're done that, you will get another opportunity to write the culminating activity at the end. So first time round, if you're not successful, you do get a second chance, but you will have to do the lessons before you can write the culminating activity a second time. Okay, so keep that in mind. And as I said, that's for all PLAR students. Just a reminder that there are 2 types of questions in your lessons, support questions and the key questions. The support questions are scattered throughout the lesson. So as you go through the lesson, you will see a section that you have to read, and then there will be a support question. Then another section to read and another support question. The key questions are located right at the very end of the lessons, and they are the ones that are meant to be submitted for marking. So as you go through the lesson, you will see the support questions. Do the support questions after you read a section. Once you've done the support questions, then go to the end of your lesson, right before the key questions, and you will find the answers to the support questions. So check your answers with the answers that are at the end of the lesson. Okay, just to see how you're doing. If you're doing really well with the support questions, if you're getting most or all of the answers correct, then you can do the key questions. Okay, if you're struggling with the support questions, then you need to either go back and reread the lesson, you need to contact me for help, or you need to watch the class. Okay, you need to get some help before you can do the key questions. Because once you submit the key questions to me, I mark them. And if you're not doing well, I'm just going to send them back to you and say, please make corrections and resubmit. Okay, you have to pass the key questions in order to be able to write the test at the end. So if you don't get it and you just fill out the answers and send it in and you're still not getting it, then you're just going to have to do it over and over and over again. So it's better if you do it right the first time and then you learn how to do it properly and you don't make the same mistakes again. So again, use the support questions, do the support questions before you do the key questions. Okay, ways to submit your work. So first of all, give it to your DEC and your DEC will send it out to us here in Sioux Lookout. If your learning center is closed or your DEC is away or you don't have a DEC, which is the case in some of our communities, then you can submit your own work. So you can scan and email your own work to studentwork@nnec.on.ca and you can CC it to me. Okay, that way if you CC it to me, 2 people here at WASA should get it. If one doesn't, then the other one will. So that's why we want to make sure that you send it to 2 people. Okay, if you have access to a fax machine, you can fax your work to our toll-free number. If you're submitting your own work, be sure to write your name, the subject, and your teacher's name on your work. Okay, that way we know who it's from, because if you don't put your name on it, we can mark it, but we don't know who to return it to or where to return it. So make sure your name is on there, the subject, and your teacher's name. And you should, if not put your name on every page, then at least initial every page. That way, if it gets mixed up with somebody else's work, then we know who it belongs to because your name is on it. Okay, so if you don't have access to a scanner or a fax machine, you can use your smartphone to submit work. Okay, so you can either take photos of your work or you can scan your work with the built-in scanner on your phone. And then you can either email it to that same email address and make sure you CC it to me, or you can send it using Facebook Messenger. Okay. Next, if you're in Sioux Lookout or the surrounding area, you can use our outdoor mailbox, and that is located at the side of the building in the WASA parking lot. So the side of the building that faces the post office. Or you can drop it off at the front door. So the door is still locked, so you can knock on the door and give it to whoever answers the door. You can also use Google Docs to do your work, and then you can share the link with me so I can mark your work that way. Or you can use Google Classroom, which is paperless. So you can see your work, you can do your work, you can submit your work all online. Okay, if you don't want to have to worry about paper, but you need pretty good access, reliable internet in order to use Google Classroom. All right, so we'll start off today's class with, a review of what we talked about in our last class last week. So last week in our class on Wednesday, we talked about graphic texts and we talked about summary writing. So we're just going to start off with a review of those 2 things. So features of a graphic text. So first of all, you have to know what the purpose of the graphic text is. Remember, we talked about purpose, audience and purpose, and I believe it was lesson 3. And so we said there are 3 main purposes for writing. So PIE. So P is to persuade. Okay, so you want someone to do something, feel a certain way, think a certain way. You're trying to persuade them of something. I is to inform, so you're giving facts only, just facts, something that people need to know. And then the E was to explain. So when you're explaining something, you're telling somebody how to do something, how to build something, how to make something. There's another E, which is entertain. And entertain is strictly for entertainment purposes. So you're telling a story to make somebody laugh or cry or shiver in fear or something like that. So strictly to entertain. So the 3 main purposes are persuade, inform, and entertain. Okay. The features of a Characteristics, sorry, of a graphic text include graphic features, so things like charts, timelines, photos, drawings, symbols, something that will draw your eye to a section of it, but it will also give you information. Print features include font size, so how big is the font, subheadings, labels, captions, titles, font types, what kind of font are you using, and bullets. So all of these things are done for a purpose, to focus your attention on something or to give you certain information. Layout features, is there a table of contents? Are there keys or legends? And design features, line, color, shape, placement, and focal point. Okay, so things like arrows, um, uh, thick borders, thin borders, the different colors that are used, different shapes, etc. So those are all characteristics of a graphic text. So graphic text forms, so different graphic text come in different forms, just like anything. So they can be diagrams, maps, graphs, charts, schedules, photos, tables, or illustrations. There are different, as we just saw, organizational and layout features. So some graphic text might have a table of contents, depending on how big it is. There might be keys or legends that tell you what certain colors stand for or what certain symbols stand for, labels and captions. Print features, as just talked about, include font size, typeface, italics, headings, titles, subheadings, labels, captions, and bullets, and design features, like I said, line, color, shape, placement, focal point. Okay, so here's some examples of graphic text. So these two are both posters. And you look at them, you can see that there's numbers. Some of the text is in bold font. Some of it's smaller, so the important things are in the bolder or the bigger font size, and then the extra information is in the smaller font. You know, the graphics draw your attention to certain things. So if you look at this first one, the facts on leaks, you see a bathtub, you see a water drop, you see a map of the United States, you see a shower head, a roof of a house, wrench, toilet, piggy bank. So these are all things that are important. So then just from looking at this, you know, it's got to be something about water because, you know, there's a bunch of things here that use water. And then, you know, you've got the big numbers, 11 million homes, repairs, 10 drips, 500 gallons of water per year. So when you look at it, you already know what it's about. Okay, it's about water being either water wastage or with facts on leaks, it tells us, that gives us an idea that it's about leaking water, about losing water, how much water is wasted. Okay, the next one, breaking bad eating habits. So we've got a lot of use of color here, not so much color in the first one, blue, black, basically that's it. The second one has a lot of color. It's also got the different sizes of fonts and some different font types. It's got the pictures, the illustrations. So it's got lots of things that draw your eye and give you a lot of information without a lot of words. Okay, at the bottom, we've got a bar graph. Over here on the side is your legend or your key. It tells you what each of the colors stand for. This is about book sales, okay? You can guess that just from looking at the colors in the legend: young adult, classics, mystery, romance, sci-fi, and fantasy. It has to be books or movies. Chances are it's books. Years, gross earnings per year. So the most the highest selling type of book would be the green one because they've got the tallest bars for every year. And so when you look at the legend, it tells you that romance books are the highest selling or the hottest seller. Okay, the least per year would be the most cases the brown, or the brown and the gold are pretty close. So that's classics and sci-fi and fantasy. Okay, so you get a lot of information just from looking at the graph. And this graph, there's very little writing at all. Most of it is numbers and colors and bars. So you get a lot of information from graphic texts. Okay, the next thing we looked at was summary writing, and we looked at writing an article summary. So reading an article in a newspaper and then writing a summary of that article. So when you're writing a summary, the goal is to compose a concise, so short basically, and objective overview of the original article. So objective means that you don't put your opinions, your thoughts, your feelings about the article in there. Just it's very objective, fact-based. So what's there? The summary should focus only on the article's main ideas and important details that support those ideas. So we don't care too much about the the small details, the minor details. We want the main ideas and the important details. Okay, so a guideline for summarizing an article. First of all, state the main idea. So what is the article about? This is kind of like finding the theme of a story. It's not one word, it's a statement about it. So if you read it, read through the article, and basically with a news article, it's easy to find the main ideas because remember when we talked about news articles, your lead paragraph, which is your first paragraph, gives all the major information, the who, what, where, when, why, and how. Okay, so you find your main idea in that first paragraph. So state the main idea. Don't copy the main idea from the article. You have to put it in your own words. Number two, identify the most important details that support the main idea. Okay, what are the details that support the main idea? Number three, I mentioned this already, summarize in your own words. Don't copy from the article. Put it in your own words. So if you were telling somebody this, what would you say? Number four, do not copy phrases or sentences unless they're being used as direct quotations. So you would have to use for quotation, direct quotations, you got to use quotation marks around what it is you're copying. Number five, express the underlying meaning of the article, but do not critique or analyze it. So what is the meaning of this article? And then number six, the summary should be about 1/3 the length of the original article. So if your article is a page long, your summary should be about 1/3 of a page long. Probably even shorter. If your article is only a page long, you could probably summarize it in one sentence. Your summary should include, just like any other paragraph that you write, this is a basic form of a paragraph. Your summary should include, first of all, your introduction. Okay, so this is your topic sentence. Give an overview of the article, including the title and the name of the author. So you might want to start by saying, in the article, and the one that we had, we talked for our assignment was Google's driverless car. In the article, Google's driverless car, and I can't remember, I think his name was Andre Mayer was the article or the author. So in the article, Google's driverless car, Andre Mayer states blah. What does he state? Provide a thesis statement that states the main idea. So then after you've identified it in the article, Google's driverless car, Andre Mayer states that the car is driverless. Well, you can't, I mean, that's basically that's what you would say. In the article, Google's driverless car, Andre Mayer states that this car is not practical. Okay, or he states that this car is practical or whatever. Then you go on to your body paragraphs or body sentences. So if you're writing an essay, it would be body paragraphs. If you're writing a paragraph, it would be body sentences. So then you use the body to explain the supporting ideas of your thesis statement. Okay, so if you say Andre Mayer states that this car is not practical, then why isn't it practical? A one paragraph summary, one sentence per supporting idea, providing 1 to 2 examples for each. Use transitional words and phrases to connect ideas. And then, of course, something else that every paragraph has is a concluding sentence or statement. Summarize your thesis statement and the underlining meaning of the article. So basically go back up to your introduction. Okay, so that is what we talked about so far. In our last class last week. So now, today, we are starting lesson 5, our final lesson, and we will be finishing that, of course, this week. It's very short, only 2 questions, 2 key questions, basically two topics. Whoops. Sorry. So lesson 5, should look at the cover page first, is descriptive writing. So we're focusing on a couple of different forms of writing here. So first of all, we're going to be looking at free writing, which basically is just writing off the top of your head. We'll be looking at that in a few minutes. We're going to look at the descriptive essay, and we're going to also look at writing a news article. So 2 key questions, as I mentioned. Today we'll prepare for key question 18, writing a descriptive essay, and then on Wednesday, writing a news article. So your learning goals, I will review the steps of the writing process. So we've looked at the writing process in lesson 1, and again in lesson, I want to say 3, but I think it's 4, when we did paragraph writing and we did summary writing. So we looked at the writing process in both of those. I will write a 3-paragraph descriptive essay. So this time you're writing a 3-paragraph descriptive essay. So not just 1 paragraph, but 3. And I will write a news article. So in this lesson, you will be given the opportunity to work through all of the stages of the writing process. So that's drafting, and then editing and revising, and then your final copy. At the end of this lesson, you will complete a 3-paragraph descriptive essay about a topic of your choice. You will use the writing process to come up with a topic, write a first draft, revise and edit, and submit a final draft. Okay, so for the writing process, in the first 4 lessons, you have written an information paragraph. So that was lesson 1, a summary, lesson 3, I believe, and a professional email, and lesson 4. In lesson 5, you will be writing a 3-paragraph essay. In order to strengthen your writing skills in this lesson, you are going to be introduced to the steps involved in the writing process. Although writing an essay is somewhat different from writing a summary or an email, the steps of the writing process will be useful tools to use in each assignment. Okay, so then bottom of page 2 talks about the writing process. I'm going to get into that in a minute. Then on page 3 talks about pre-writing and free writing, which are basically the same thing. There's a student sample of free writing there. Support question 30, you're going to do some free writing on your own. Again, make sure you do the support question. The next page talks about writing a first draft. So what a first draft is and how you do it. The steps for writing your descriptive essay are there. And then on the next page, goes through each paragraph. So paragraph 1 is a general introduction. Paragraph 2, getting more specific, giving more specific details. Paragraph 3 on the next page is your concluding paragraph. So you have an introductory paragraph, a body paragraph, and a concluding paragraph. Then it talks about editing and revising. There's a checklist there for you to look at. Part 2, sorry, let's go back up here. A sample descriptive essay, and this is the process. So part 1 is the free writing. And then on the next page, part 2 is the drafting. And then you can see an example of what your draft should look like, all messed up. And then part 3, the final copy on the next page. Okay, and then your support question. So the support question is some proofreading, making some edits and stuff to different essays. Okay, so let's have a look at the writing process. So 6 steps every writer should know. Now, a lot of people, when they have to write an essay, they just start working on their final copy right away. They don't draft, they don't write anything else down, and they just go through their final copy. Well, that's not a good idea, because no matter who you are, when you write a paragraph or an essay, you always make mistakes. So you need to revise and edit. You need to do your rough draft. Your first copy is going to be your rough draft. Then take a break from it and go back and then go through it again to see what you need to change. You can always make it better. So the writing process, 6 steps. So good writing requires coming up, of course, with ideas. So you got to figure out, what am I going to talk about? What ideas am I going to use? Reviewing and organizing them, putting them into a cohesive written work, so something that makes sense, revisiting your work, editing it, and revising it to make your words stronger. These steps are known as the writing process. So we start off, first of all, with brainstorming. The writing process actually starts before you put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard. The first step is brainstorming. So coming up with your ideas. And most of the time that's in our head. It's not on paper. When we start thinking about it. Depending on the assignment, you may be given a topic, or you may have to create one yourself. Do an internet search for the topic you'll be covering to get a stronger grasp on it and all the potential directions your writing can take. Okay, so depending on what your topic is, it might be something that you can look up on the internet, or you can talk to someone else about to get some ideas. When you brainstorm, you think deeply about the topic you'll be covering in your writing, and you let your mind follow any and every lead it comes across. If you've been assigned to write within a fairly broad area, this is the point where you narrow your topic down to a specific thesis statement. Okay, so your main idea. Jot down every idea you have while you brainstorm, even if it's only barely related to your topic. The goal here isn't to create a coherent piece of writing, it's to clear a path for your writing. Okay, so your topic might be, you're going to write about your favorite person. Okay, so that's your topic, your favorite person. So then you might want to write down who your favorite people are. Just write down their names. Okay, you can think about it in your head, but then you might, sometimes we don't always think of who our favorite people might be. So write them down so you can look at your list. Then pick out a few. Okay, so favorite people: Aria, Eric, Dad, Mom, Shelley, Zach, Lauren, Katie, Katrina, Sophie, Aileron. Okay, so pick out a few. Okay, so you go, yeah, I don't want to write about Shelley. I don't want to write about Dad and Mom. No, I don't want to write about Zach. Don't want to write about Lauren. So you might cross people off your list. So then pick a 2 or 3 and put down some details about them. So Aria, ultrasound, I was there for her ultrasound. I got to hold her for the first time. Her first word was, we took her to Disneyland. Eric, we went on a camping trip. We love skiing and getting lost. We saw a shark in St. Croix. Dad, maybe I'll write about Dad falling off his bike. That was funny. Making me play softball. I didn't like that. Driving, letting me drive a golf cart. So you can put things down like that. Make a list pick a few people, and then make a list of the things that, the reasons why they're your favorite people. Okay, clustering is also called mind mapping or idea mapping. It is a strategy that allows you to explore the relationships between ideas. So just kind of like making a list. Put the subject in the center of a page and circle or underline it. So at the bottom here, you can see some examples of clustering. As you think of other ideas, link the new ideas to the central circle with lines. Okay, so as you think of ideas that relate to the new ideas, add those in the same way. So your topic is TV and kids. Okay, so then what about TV and kids? Well, there's a lot of advertising that promotes materialism. It shows poor role models. TV watchers avoid exercise. It replaces social interactions, and there's a lot of violence. So then you might think, violence, yeah. There's murders and fighting, different kinds of violence. Violence is considered normal. Shows poor role models. Criminals are glorified. So you spread out, with your cluster. So, another example over here, this is a mind map. Global warming, same things. Okay, well, global warming affects the environment. There's the human factor. economic factors, geographical factors, and political factors. So what are the environmental factors? Well, there's air pollution, destruction of sea levels, rising sea levels. What about the political factors? The Kyoto Protocol, roles of government. What about the geographical factors? What's happening in developing countries? What's happening in the Antarctic? So you spread out, you keep spreading out when you think of ideas that are related to those topics. The results will look like a web on your page. Locate clusters of interest to you and use the terms you attach to the key ideas as departure points for your paper. So when it comes to global warming, you might say, well, I want to talk about the environment. I'm going to focus on the environment. So I'm going to talk about air pollution, destruction of sea levels, and rising sea levels. Clustering is especially useful in determining the relationship between ideas. You will be able to distinguish how the ideas fit together, especially where there is an abundance of ideas. Clustering your ideas lets you see them visually in a different way so that you can more readily understand the possible directions your paper may take. So it's also called mind mapping, or oops, I already looked at that page, sorry. Didn't want to skip. Brainstorming isn't just about developing a clear topic and a set of supporting content to cover. It's about determining the most effective way to present your information to your intended audience. So again, thinking about your audience and your purpose. So I've got my ideas now. How do I want to present them? Do I want this to be an information paragraph? So just giving the facts. Do I want it to be descriptive? Do I need to put in use a lot of descriptive language so that people get a clear picture of what's going on? So you need to think about the type of writing. Is it formal writing or is it informal writing? How much will my audience know about this topic? Once you have a clear central theme for your writing and a strong grasp on your supporting arguments, it's time to finesse your brainstorming results into a logical outline. Okay, so now you want to go, okay, I'm going to talk about this first, then this, then this, and then this. Okay, so next is preparing to write. So the next step, in this stage, you're taking all of the ideas, connections, and conclusions you encountered during your brainstorming session and organizing them into an outline. So what are you going to talk about first, second, etc.? An outline is basically a skeleton of a finished piece of writing that maps the topics you'll cover and where each paragraph fits into the piece. It provides a structure that helps ensure your ideas flow logically and clearly. It can be helpful to look at outline templates online, especially if you've been assigned a type of writing that you haven't done before. So we're doing a 3-paragraph essay here. You haven't done a 3-paragraph essay previously. We've just written paragraphs. So in this case, it's good to just look online at templates that you can use. So here's a good one that I like. 3-paragraph essay. So your introduction, it tells you, get the reader's attention with the opening sentence, and then state the main ideas of the essay in the thesis statement. Then the body, it tells you, support the thesis statement with details, and the conclusion, restate the thesis statement, summarize the main idea. Here's another one, paragraph 1, what's your topic? We said global warming, so you might say rising oceans or rising ocean level. That might be what your first paragraph is about. Okay, or just your first paragraph actually would probably focus on just on global warming. And then, of course, like I said, you want to talk about the environment. And then your second paragraph might be about the ocean levels. Okay, the different things that's going on with the ocean levels. And then your paragraph 3 is going to be your concluding sentence, which sums everything all up again and restates your thesis. Whoops. Skipping ahead too far. Okay, so striking the right tone. This is also a stage where you clarify the tone you'll use in your work. Okay, so again, is it formal or is it informal? Of course, because it's for school, then it's going to be a formal tone. So writing now, we're at the stage where you're writing your first draft. So at the rough draft stage, your goal is to get the words on the page. Using the outline you created, start building your draft, sentence by sentence and paragraph by paragraph. You don't have to write your rough draft from start to finish. So if you know what you want to say in your body paragraphs, you're not sure about how you're going to introduce it or how you're going to finish it, but you know, this is the information I want people to know, you can start with your middle paragraph. You can start with your body paragraphs. Then you can go back and do your introductory paragraph and then your concluding paragraph. Or you can conclude it first if you want to. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do it in order. Just need to get it done. Then once you've got your parts down, your introductory paragraph, your body paragraph, and your concluding paragraph, now you can move on to the editing and revising. So this is the fun part. This is where you get to mark things up, cross things out, scribble, all those things. So this is your editing. As you move through the writing process, you'll employ different kinds of editing. At this stage, your content editing, so looking at your content, line editing, and copy editing. Later, you'll proofread your work, and depending on the content you're covering, you might fact check it as well. Okay, so this time for first thing, you're looking at your ideas. Do you have everything in there that you want to have in there? Do you have too much? Not enough? In some cases, you're totally on your own with editing. In others, editing your work involves incorporating feedback an editor or instructor left on your first draft. When you're facing the latter scenario, be sure to read the feedback carefully and address or incorporate all of it. Okay, so for your editing checklist, so your revising checklist, you want to look and see if anything needs to be added. Add one more detail or sentence to your paper. Add one describing word. Anything need to be removed? Read your paper and cross out any parts that don't belong. So like I said, your draft is going to be marked up. Move. Read your paper and check it. Check if anything is out of order. So move things around and substitute. Switch 2 dead words for 2 juicy words. So your revising checklist is ARMS. Remember ARMS. ARMS. Add, remove, move, and substitute. Once you start editing, you're looking for grammar, spelling, punctuation. So capital letters, so it's for editing, it's cups. For revising, it's arms. For editing, it's cups. So C is capitals. Check, make sure you've got capital letters everywhere they're supposed to be. Right there, there's one missing. Usage, check that all words are used correctly. P is punctuation. Check that all sentences end with punctuation. And spelling, check for correct spelling. Okay, so here is a sample 3-paragraph essay. So good student, excellent role model. So this is the first paragraph. A good student is someone who does their very best at everything, like my friend Brenda. Brenda isn't afraid to try, even if she doesn't quite know what to do. Most of the time, she can even figure out things without the teacher's help. Most kids just give up when they don't know what to do, but not Brenda. She doesn't give up. Okay, so first paragraph, introducing Brenda. So introducing a good student, and this good student that they're talking about is their friend Brenda. Second paragraph, more information about a good student. A good student is also someone who's respectful. Brenda is nice to everyone she meets. For example, when we got a new student, she was the first one to make the new kid feel welcome. She is always friendly and polite to other students and adults. Okay, more information about what a good student is. And then the last paragraph sums it up. Brenda is very responsible. Good students always get their work done on time, like classwork or homework. Brenda always has her work done on time. That's why Brenda is a great student. Okay, so that's the rough draft. Then this person went back and thought, are there any changes that I can make? So thesis statement, a good student is someone who does their very best. I'm going to stick in the word at everything, like my friend Brenda. Okay, most of the time, well, I'm not sure if I want to use most of the time, so I'm going to highlight that. She can even figure out things without the teacher's help. On the other hand, okay, so opposite a good student, a bad student. On the other hand, most kids just give up, but not Brenda. Okay. A little bit of contrast in there. Next paragraph, good student is someone who's respectful. Brenda is nice to everyone she meets. Here's an example. For example, I need to put that in there. When we got a new student, she was the first one to make a kid feel welcome. As a general rule, she is always friendly and polite to other students and adults. Okay. Next paragraph. Brenda is very responsible. Good students always get their work done on time, like classwork or homework. With this in mind, it's transitional phrase. Brenda always, instead of saying has her work done on time, completes her assignments when due. Same idea, just different way of saying it, a better way of saying it. Instead of saying that's why Brenda is a great student, change it to without a doubt. Brenda is a good student because she does her very best at everything. Okay, so this is how your rough draft should be. It should be marked up. Okay, edit with fresh eyes. So before you edit, give your work time to cool off. So in other words, don't write your rough draft and then right away start editing it. Okay, write your rough draft and then leave it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a day if you have the time. And then by taking that time off, then you're giving yourself some distance from your work, and this enables you the next time to view it with fresh eyes. So it's easier to catch mistakes if you take a break from your work. So with fresh eyes, look for logical inconsistencies or fallacies. So something that doesn't fit where you got it. Maybe you need to move it down or up. Or fallacies. So fallacies, it's lies. Inconsistent or inappropriate tone. So are you staying formal throughout? Areas where your writing can be made more concise. So maybe as a word, instead of just saying good, maybe respectful is a better word you could use. Confusing phrases and sentences. Read your phrases, read your sentences. Make sure they sound right and they make sense. Read them out loud. One way to easily find areas where you can make your writing stronger, as I said, is to read it out loud. By listening to the rhythm of your writing, you can hear words that feel out of place, awkward transitions, redundant phrases, inconsistent tenses and tones, and points where you need more or less detail. Sometimes you might put in too much. Pay attention to how effectively your supporting arguments prove and strengthen your thesis statement. Once you're finished editing, it's time to revise your draft into its final version. This is the process of implementing all the changes you noted during the editing process. And then proofreading your final draft. So once you've done your editing, you've done all your revising, now you're going to do your final draft. Okay, so the last stage of the writing process is proofreading your final draft. At this stage, you're finished writing, but you're not quite ready to hand in your assignment yet. Proofreading is one last look over to catch any spelling mistakes, grammar errors, typos, formatting errors, or incorrect structure or syntax. Unless something is seriously wrong, you're not changing any of your content. Okay, so you're not changing any of your ideas. You're just looking for the cups, capitalization, punctuation, syntax, those types of things. So you're simply double checking that everything is grammatically correct. So making sure that your subjects and your verbs agree and making sure that you've used the right pronoun and those types of things. Ideally, you'll have enough time to proofread your work with fresh eyes. And then publishing your finished work. Your work is ready to be shared with the world. What it means to publish your work depends on the type of writing you're doing. If you're just completed an assignment, this step is when you send it off to your teacher. Okay, so in this lesson, you're writing a descriptive essay. So we wrote an information paragraph, we wrote a summary. Now you're going to write a descriptive essay. The descriptive essay is a genre of essay that asks the student to describe something. It can be an object, a person, a place, experience, emotion, situation, anything. This genre includes the student's ability to create a written account of a particular experience. What is more, this genre allows for a great deal of artistic freedom. So the goal of which is to paint an image that is vivid and moving in the mind of the reader. So you want the reader to feel your what you're feeling, your guilt or your pleasure or your excitement. Okay. Take time to brainstorm. So we already talked about brainstorming. If your instructor asks you to describe your favorite food, make sure that you jot down some ideas before you begin describing it. So what's your favorite food and what words come to mind right away? So for instance, if you choose pizza, you might start by writing down a few words. What do you think of when you think of pizza? Sauce, cheese, crust, pepperoni, sausage, spices, hot, melted, etc. Once you've written down some words, you can begin by compiling descriptive lists for each one. So use clear and concise language. This means that words are chosen carefully, particularly for their relevancy in relation to that which you are intending to describe. So don't say it tastes good. You can say it tastes mouth-watering. Choose vivid language. So like I said, instead of just saying good, mouth-watering. Use your senses. So the big thing about writing a descriptive essay is using your senses. So how things smell, felt, sound, taste, or look. Now you can't always use all 5 senses, depending on what you're talking about, but you can use usually several of them. What were you thinking? If you can describe emotions or feelings related to your topic, you will connect with the reader on a deeper level. You may have felt crushing loss in their lives or ecstatic joy or mild complacency. Tap into this emotional reserve in order to achieve your full descriptive potential. So if you finally got the job that you wanted, talk about how excited you were. Leave the reader with a clear impression. If your reader can walk away from the essay craving the very pizza you just described, you're on your way to writing effective descriptive essays. Be organized. It is easy to fall into an incoherent rambling of emotions and senses when writing a descriptive essay. However, you must strive to present an organized and logical description if the reader is to come away from the essay with a cogent sense of what it is you are attempting to describe. Okay, so here's an example of a descriptive essay. Oops. So the introductory sentences. So the first sentences contextualize the scene that will be described. The present tense is used in this essay. The past tense can also be used, but present is often chosen for descriptive essay to make it feel more immediate. So on Sunday afternoons, I like to spend my time in the garden behind my house. Okay, now. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the garden. The garden is narrow but long, a corridor of green extending from the back of the house, and I sit on a lawn chair at the far end to relax and read. I am in my small, peaceful paradise, the shade of the tree, the feel of the grass on my feet, the gentle activity of the fish in the pond beside me. Lots of description there. You can picture the backyard. So I'm in my small, peaceful paradise. So this is a personal impression. The sentence shows how the location feels to the author, feels like a paradise. And there's 3 elements that contribute to this feeling. Okay, the shade, the feel of the grass, the gentle activity. Next paragraph is a description of an event. This paragraph moves away from the generalizations of the first paragraph to describe a specific event. My cat crosses the garden nimbly and leaps onto the fence to survey it from above. From his perch, he can watch over his little kingdom and keep an eye on the neighbors. He does this until the barking of the next door's dog scares him from his post, and he bolts for the cat flap to govern from the safety of the kitchen. So it's a specific event. The next paragraph is an analogy. This paragraph describes the behavior of the fish and then compares the author's own attitude to that of the fish, using the description of an analogy from something personal. With that, I am left alone with the fish, whose whole world is the pond by my feet. The fish explore the pond every day as if for the first time, prodding and inspecting every stone. I sometimes feel the same about sitting here in the garden. I know the place better than anyone, but whenever I return, I still feel compelled to pay attention to all its details and novelties. A new bird perched in the tree, the growth of the grass, and the movement of the insects it shelters. And then the concluding paragraph. This paragraph concludes the essay by emphasizing the author's feelings of peace. Third sentence introduces a contrast with the previous 2. Sitting out in the garden, I feel serene. I feel at home. And yet I always feel there is more to discover. The bounds of my garden may be small, but there's a whole world contained within it, and it is one I will never get tired of inhabiting. Okay, so lots of description in that paragraph. So when you're writing a descriptive paragraph, that's what you need to do. Okay, so key question 18, descriptive essay writing. Be sure to do all 3 parts for your essay. Part 1 is the pre-writing. This is where you brainstorm, you get your ideas down. Part 2, and you get 5 marks for that part. Part 2 is drafting. So now you're going to write coherent sentences. Get your descriptions in there. This rough draft should be marked up. Your rough draft, 25 marks. Make sure you do it and submit it. Part 3 is your final copy. Okay, this is the part that you fixed all the mistakes. Everything looks perfect. And the rubric on the last page, your final draft or final copy is worth 30 marks. Okay, so lots of marks for that key question. Make sure you do all 3 parts of it. Okay, so that is it for our class today. If you have any questions, please contact me. Other than that, good luck with that key question, and I will talk to you again in class on Wednesday. Miigwech.